Hey kids, Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now, one of those purely coincidental conjunctions has occurred here in the Mr. Man Cave today. I've got three roughly similar sort of bikes in the garage at the same time. This can mean only one thing. Let's do a comparison video. Okay, so what three machines am I talking about? Well, let me show you. First off, we've got here the new for 2021 Honda CB650R. I've been riding this for the last couple of weeks. Great little bike, really enjoyed riding it. Next up, we have the bike that everybody seems to be talking about at the moment, the Triumph Trident, again, brand new for 2021. I've been riding this for the last 2 days. And then last but by no means least, my own bike, the Triumph Street Triple R from 2012. So a bit of a wild card, an old bike. It's here because I happen to own it. So I know what you're thinking. For this to be a valid comparison for the Triumph Trident, what I should have here is a Kawasaki Z650 and a Yamaha MT-07, other new competitors, instead of the old Triumph Street Triple of mine. Well, the reason I haven't got those is because Yamaha and Kawasaki basically don't lend bikes long-term to YouTubers. Their loss, I say. So in short, I have to work with what I can get hold of. So this isn't going to be a high-end, very scientific review, the sort of thing that you might find on MCN or Bennett's Bike Social or even 44 Teeth. All this is going to be is one fella in his garage, an ordinary Joe, comparing a few bikes that he thinks are sort of roughly similar, just the kind of stuff that I think about these bikes. It's not particularly scientific. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not an expert by any means. If you disagree with what I say, that's absolutely fine. This is just going to be, how do I find these three bikes compared to each other? Okay, enough of the disclaimers then. Let's talk about the individual bikes. Now, what I'm not going to do is take you through the detailed specs of everyone, because I've done individual videos on these bikes. I'll put links in the corners for those, but I have written down the kind of main items of the specs. So let's just have a little walk along and do a comparison of some of those key things that I look for in bikes. So starting off then with the Honda, in terms of horsepower, the Honda puts out 94 brake horsepower at 12,000 RPM. The Trident, that puts out 80 brake horsepower at 10,250 RPM, and the old Street Triple R, that's 106 brake horsepower at 11,700 RPM. So there we go, that's the horsepower figures. The Street Triple, not surprisingly, is the most powerful. Then the Trident and the Honda, I think both the same, we said there, didn't we, 94. No, I lied. The Trident is the least at 80 brake horsepower and the Honda at 94, sorry. Okay, in terms of torque then, the Honda, that's 47 foot-pounds. The Trident, another 47 foot-pounds. And the Street Triple R, 50 foot-pounds. Again, all done at slightly different level points in the rev range. Let's talk about that. So the maximum torque for the Honda is at 9,500 RPM. Maximum torque for the Trident is at 6,250, and the Street Triple is at 11,700. So you really have to rev the Street Triple in comparison. Alrighty, what else? Let's look at weight. The Honda is 190 kilograms-ish dry weight. The Trident is 179 kilograms-ish dry weight, and the Street Triple 179 kilograms-ish dry weight. And last but not least, let's look at the cost of these bikes as well. So the Honda here, if you go out, buy one of these, 7,299. The Trident, 7,195, so 100 quid cheaper. And the Street Triple R, if I was to sell this, I'd sell it for about 5 grand. So the cheapest of the bikes is the Street Triple R, but the Trident as a new bike is cheaper than the Honda, and better equipped too, so that's quite interesting. Alright, so that's enough of the sort of basic figures. As I say, if you want more of that detail, go and watch my individual videos. What we are, of course, keen to know is, how do these bikes ride? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get togged up, and I'm going to take each of these three bikes round the block on the same ride, and just do a direct comparison for how do these bikes feel, considering the difference in spec, prices, and indeed age of the bikes. Okay, so I'm not going to do a full review once again on each bike. I'm just going to go with the basic things that I look for in bikes and show you what they're like absolutely side by side on this standard ride, if you like. So all I'm going to look at, not necessarily in this order, is their comfort, how they stop, how they go, what the handling's like, and what they sound like. And I'll do them in the order Honda, Trident, Street Triple, so that we're all consistent. And we'll start with the Honda CB650R, which I'm on at the moment. A little bit damp on the road here, but we're going to see how she stops. So here we go. I'm just coming through these signs here, and I'm at 30 miles an hour. Brakes, brilliant. On the stop in front, it's got ABS, it's got traction control, absolutely great on the front, and the rear's not brilliant. So that's how the Honda stops and goes, or rather that's how the Honda stops. Okay, coming up to the national signs, a little bit damp. Going to test the stopping power on the Trident this time. Here we go, and Oh yeah, front brake very good. I'd say it's a little bit better actually than the Honda. Let's just try the rear. And the ABS cuts in. You can feel the ABS cutting in on the back brake on this pretty much from the moment you stamp on it. So the brakes on this, I'd say, are sharper marginally than the Honda. There's not a huge amount in it, but yeah, they certainly stop you all right on the Trident. Okay, so let's look at stopping power on the street triple. Still a little bit damp around, similar speeds, coming up to those national speed limit signs. And let's... oh wow, I'll tell you what, that front brake feels absolutely amazing. Given these are the original brake pads, I think, that this bike's had. They feel even sharper and more progressive than the new bikes, which is incredible, but you can't abuse them as much, of course, because this doesn't have ABS, so you've got to be careful. Let's just try the rear. Whee! Basically, I didn't slow down at all, the rear wheel just slid around. So the back was rubbish in comparison, but the front brake, I have to say, just as good, if not better than the modern bike. Surprised me. Okay, how does the Honda go then in terms of acceleration? Here I am, 30 miles an hour in second. And quickly up to 70 miles an hour and beyond. Yeah, she goes fine. No lack of power here. And if you were to just jump on this one and not ride the others, you'd describe it as a quick bike. But I happen to know, having ridden the others do feel quicker. Okay, how well does the Trident go then? Same bit of road as we did with the Honda. 30 miles an hour in second, here we go. Oh. I tell you what, you could definitely feel how they've sorted that torque curve out. It does feel stronger than the Honda, it has to be said, when you wind it up. But it runs out of puff a bit quicker. It does tend to hit the rev limiter. Hello, sir. It's DCM, if I'm not mistaken, don't see many of them. But yeah, in terms of the go, the Trident definitely feels stronger than the Honda. Okay, how well does the street triple go compared to the other bikes? Well, I hardly dare try this. 30 miles an hour-ish in second, here we go. I'm going to ease off there. This bike is no doubt much faster than the other bikes. It hasn't got quite the pickup of the Trident initially on, but very soon it suddenly gets blisteringly quick and you realise that you're going a lot faster than you were on the other bikes. So yeah, the Trident actually, real world speeds, a little bit quicker, probably from 0 to 40, but then the street triple just blasts the others into the weeds. This is a properly fast bike. You can definitely tell that it's got Daytona DNA in it. What an absolute blast this is. Comfort on the Honda, well, you're sat in an upright position, not canted forward at all. My legs slightly acute angle. Seat is not that roomy, I can move around a little bit at 5'8", and the seat itself is lacking in padding. But I would describe it as a comfortable bike. Certainly it's not uncomfortable like a sports bike. Okay, comfort on the Trident then. Well, seating position wise, I have to say it feels very similar to the Honda actually. You're sitting upright, you've got that same sort of acute angle on the leg, and the handlebars feel about the same width apart as well. If Triumph just measured up the Honda and replicated it, I wouldn't be surprised. The seating position feels pretty much the same. In terms of room on the seat, it's a little bit more roomy on the Trident actually. I can move back and forth a bit further on it. And in terms of the plushness of the seat, about the same, I'd say. A little bit hard if anything, but not uncomfortable. So I think in terms of comfort, nothing to choose between the Honda and the Trident. Okay, comfort on the street triple then. Now let's have a little think about this. Again, it feels very familiar. There's really nothing to choose between the three bikes with regard to riding position. I thought the street triple was going to feel much more sporty and that I was going to be led forward a lot more, but actually, you know, when you ride them back to back, it feels exactly the same. I've got the same acute angle on the leg, and it feels like I'm sitting up the same amount, and it feels like the handlebars are the same width, so nothing to choose from them in that respect. Okay, to sound on the Honda then, 30 miles an hour in second.
The four-cylinder absolutely screams. It sounds great. It's not particularly loud, but it has got that four-cylinder Formula One-ish about it, which I absolutely love. So when you wind her up and she's really going for it, the Honda sounds great, but in normal riding at normal road speeds, it's not very loud really, so not great on the sound front in normal riding unless you're thrashing it. Okay, let's see what the Trident sounds like then. Yeah, she sounds good. She's got that triple whine about her. Not in spades, it's not super loud or anything like that. You definitely know you're on a triple. It is a nice note off of triples. They pretty much all sound very similar. I think it's got a little bit of a lower note than the street triple, but we'll try that in a second by way of comparison. But yeah, a nice noise again. But again, a bit like the Honda, you have to wind it up to appreciate it. Okay, on to the sound test on the street triple then. Here we go. Up behind. My word, you definitely feel the extra horsepower on this. And I don't know if the mic picked it up, but this one just sounds epic in comparison to both the other bikes. It's got the, when you wind it up, it's got the almost Formula One whine of the four-cylinder, yet it's still got that triple whistle as well, an amazing induction roar. A little bit of an unfair comparison perhaps, because I have got the aftermarket Arrow pipes on this bike, and it has an associated ECU flash for that as well, so maybe not a fair comparison. But boy, she sounds good. Okay, handling on the Honda. Down one of my favourite little twisty bendy bits here. I have to say the bike feels nice and light, even though it's actually the heaviest of these three. The handling is beautiful. The suspension is fairly stiff on the bike. It's actually got the same shower forks as the Trident, so in terms of technicalities, the suspension is the same. It's not adjustable like the street triple is, so you have to take it as you find it. And yeah, on this bumpy road, it does bounce you around a fair bit. But yeah, the handling's very nice. Suspension perhaps a little bit on the stiff side. Okay, on to handling on the Trident then, on the, once again, my favourite little twisty bit of road. Now this bike is one of the lighter ones out of the three, and it does feel dead light when you move her through the corners. Yeah, really nice handling on here. Again, the same Showa non-adjustable forks. You feel a little bit more softer than the Honda for some reason. I don't know if they can be set up from the factory different, but not quite so bone jarring as the Honda. Not that the Honda was terrible, but this just feels a little bit softer. But yeah, the handling on here, lovely. Nice and light, no problems at all. Okay, back to my handling test then, this time on the street triple, down my favourite little twisty road here. And this is the same weight as the Trident. And if anything, it's a little less flickable, I would say. You have to muscle it through the corners slightly more. But not by much, by any means. I mean, it's still a very flickable bike, the street triple. It's not quite as agile as the Trident. The suspension on here is a little bit more sophisticated, you could say, maybe, even though it's older, because it is adjustable, and I have softened this up a little bit for my weight. But yeah, handling on here just as good as the other bikes.
Okay, so there we go. Hope you enjoyed those little rides. It's nice to be out on the bikes when it's not actually chucking it down with rain or absolutely freezing for a change. So yeah, so that's how the bikes kind of compare when you ride them. Quite interesting actually, given the you know, the street triple is now getting on for 9 years old, how it does stand up well against the other bikes. Of course, it's way less advanced than the other bikes. It doesn't have any electronics. Particularly, the big thing missing on that is ABS, as far as I'm concerned. But for about £5 grand, it's still a brilliant bike. And you know, for me, I prefer the looks, I think, of the Street Triple over the other bikes. Maybe I'm biased, but that I think is the case. So yeah, the Street Triple still to this day, even if you buy one of these relatively early ones, is still a great value bike. If you want to stretch and buy a new one, then even better. But so there we go. So that's the Street Triple. The Triumph Trident, I love this bike, as it seems all reviewers do that have ridden it. It's I mean, it's an amazing price compared to the competition. It's cheaper than not only the Honda but also the MT-07 and the Kawasaki as well, and it is more advanced than all those bikes. It's got riding modes, it's got LED lights, it's got a really nice TFT on it. The build quality is second to none. Triumph have absolutely knocked it out of the park with the Trident, I think. Really nice. For me personally, I think the way the bike looks is the less good of all of them, but that's very much a subjective thing. And then last but not least, as he crawls his way down the garage, the Honda CB650R. I've really enjoyed riding this bike. This is the one that I probably know best out of all of them because I've been riding this a lot of late. Really good fun. I think this probably looks better to my eyes than the Triumph Trident, but for £100 more, sadly, it is now a bit lacking without things like riding modes, TFT screen, that sort of thing. So yeah, if you're in the market for a new bike, then I think the Trident's probably the way to go if you like the looks of it. But if you're just in for a fun bike, best value for money, then get yourself an old Street Triple R is what I'd say. All right, there we go. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio.
All right, now I've ridden all bikes back to back. Let's be honest, for fun factor, the Street Triple absolutely blows those others into the weeds. This bike is flipping epic. It doesn't matter that it's 9 years old, it's just great. Just got to be careful of the fact it doesn't have ABS and traction control. If it had them, it would be the perfect bike. Of course, the new ones do have that. A bit of grey van action, excellent. Transit Custom on a 19 plate. Nice high level brake lights there. Well done, LP Harman Building Services Limited. Go check them out if you've got some work needs. But it's a member of the Federation of Master Builders. Look, don't know what that means, but it sounds good, doesn't it? It certainly does a top job of blocking out my view.
Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here. Hope you're well. Now, one of those purely coincidental. Let's do it again. Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now, one of those purely coincidental what's it called? Let's do it again. To any YouTubers, so that's why you never see Yamahas and Kawasaki's getting a good thrashing on YouTubers' channels. But there we go, their loss. Luckily, Triumph and Honda are very kind to YouTubers, and they do lend us bikes, so that's why they're there. Should we do that again? Yeah, go on then. So in short, I have to work with what I can get hold of. I'm just an ordinary... Let's do that again.
What the comfort is like, what the handling is like. Not necessarily in that order. Let's do that again.